Hey friend, if your back hurts right now, it's tight, it's achy, this is the routine for you. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get right to it. Let's go ahead and begin on the floor, on your back in a really supported position. By the way, if you would like to do this routine on your bed, if that feels more comfortable, feel free to do that, okay? Because if at the moment, if your back is really tight and achy, sometimes just being up on your bed is a lot more comfortable than the floor. So either way is gonna work. So laying on your back with your feet planted on the floor, you might notice you've got a little bit of a gap between your low back and the floor. We're gonna remove that gap by tucking your tailbone under. And even that alone, just by doing that pelvic tilt, might provide you with some of the relief, okay? So in this position, tailbone is tucked, back feels pressed into the floor. Let's go ahead and exhale. It's gonna fire up and engage those deep abdominal muscles. Let's release all of that, release the tilt, feel your back, lift up off the floor just a touch, and we'll do that again. So tuck your tailbone under, feel your back connect into the floor, exhale. And release. We're gonna do 5 of these. So tuck your tailbone under again, exhale. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed as you do these too. Release that tilt of your pelvis. Go ahead and tilt it under again. Feel your back connect to the floor. Exhale. Release. Let's go just one more of those. Tilt your pelvis under. Feel your back connect on the floor and exhale once again. Let's get all the air out this time. Push the air out. Keep exhaling, and go ahead and release. Good job. From here, we're gonna actually engage your glutes, so squeeze your buns if you can, and we're gonna lift your hips off the floor evenly. At first, you might lift more with one leg than the other, and we wanna eventually be able to get your hips to rise equally. Let's go ahead and set your hips back down on the floor and do that again. So we're gonna squeeze the glutes, kind of like a 2-step process. Squeeze and lift, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Make sure that at the top you're not overarching. We're not trying to get as big of a bridge as possible. Go ahead and set the hips back down. We're just trying to get to flat down the front of your body, squeezing those glutes. Set it down. Do that again, squeeze your glutes and lift. By the way, the stronger your glutes are, the happier your back is gonna be, because often that low back will start to act up and feel painful because the glutes are not doing their job. So if we can wake them back up, make them go to work for us, then your back feels so much happier. Let's go ahead and do one more, and on this last one, we're actually gonna hold it. Keep holding, making sure that your hips are level. Make sure that you're not feeling that in your low back. Really squeeze your glutes tight, tight, tight. Keep holding. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath, hold. Slowly lower it back down to the floor. Good job. Go ahead and pick your left knee off the floor, squeezing that knee into your chest. This is a really nice glute stretch after that work. If that feels fine, we can try to extend your right leg out along the floor. If that's not working for you, it's okay if you keep that knee bent. Let's go ahead and bend that knee again if you had it straight. Set your left foot down, and we're gonna squeeze the right knee into your chest. Feeling that good glute stretch. You can explore trying to extend that leg out straight. Big deep breaths here. I'm gonna always be cueing you to breathe, because when you're in pain, when you're feeling achy, the first thing that goes is good deep breathing. Your body will just kind of hold tension and feel really cramped kind of all over. So make sure you continue to breathe. Go ahead and release that foot, and we're gonna gently roll over onto your hands and knees, okay? So we're making your way into this quadruped position, or basically 4-legged position here. So shoulders are right over your hands, hips are right over your knees. We're gonna explore those pelvic tilts again, but this time it's just in a completely different position. So go ahead and tuck your tail under, It's almost like the lower half of doing a cat-cow, if you've ever done yoga. Go ahead and release the tilt, but we don't want to arch really far. That's not the point of this. We're just kind of coming back to neutral, and then tuck your tail again. Exhale in that position. Go ahead and release. Tuck your tail under again. Exhale. Go ahead and release. We're gonna do about 5 of these. Tuck your tail under. Exhale, seeing if you can get, with that exhale, getting those deep abdominals, your transverse abdominis, even your pelvic floor muscles to engage. Go ahead and release. Tuck your tailbone under. Let's do one more. You don't want to create a lot of really big movements here. You want to be very smooth and intentional with all of your movements. Otherwise, that jarring motion can really flare up that low back, and we don't want that to happen. Go ahead and release your pelvic tilt. We're gonna make our way up into a half kneeling position. So take your left foot forward. This is what I like to call kind of a proposal position. You look like you're down on the floor proposing, making sure that everything is level. If you want to hold on to a wall beside you, you can, for more balance, more support. Once again, we're going to do that pelvic tilt, but now we're in a totally different position. So we're practicing it all over the place today. It really does help take some of that pressure off your low back. So tilt your pelvis under, kind of feeling like you're tucking your tailbone under. We're attempting to get a really good stretch down the front of your pelvis, down the front of this hip socket. So squeezing this glute, press your hip forward. Often you've probably seen hip flexor stretches done where you're trying to just get this deep lunge, but we don't want to do that because you'll end up dumping into your low back. That won't feel good, okay? So we're keeping it much more intentional in a smaller range of motion. Tailbone tucks, squeeze those glutes, press your hip bone forward. We can add on if you want, you don't have to, but reach that right arm up to the sky and almost pull this whole right side. Go ahead and release, and we're gonna, while we're here with this right knee down, extend that left foot and feel this deep hamstring stretch down this left side. Holding onto a wall is really helpful here because if you're really trying to work your balance, it's difficult to get a good stretch if you're more concerned about balance, okay? So hold on to a wall if you need to. We're gonna tuck, kind of tilt your pelvis out behind you, and we're trying to pull your sit bone apart from your heel, and you'll feel that great hamstring stretch. Now we can add on to this by rotating that foot inward, rotate it outward. If you need to touch down, you can rotate that foot inward and outward. And we'll just see where along that leg you get the tight feeling. For myself, I get it the most when I rotate that foot outward. You might be opposite from me. We're just kind of playing with it here. Let's go ahead and rise back up. We're gonna switch sides. Extend your right foot forward, finding those same stretches on this side. So tuck your tailbone under, squeeze that glute, and we're gonna press this hip bone forward just a touch. You can reach this right arm up to the sky. Feeling a really focused stretch in that left hip flexor. Go ahead and release out of it. Let's extend that right leg forward again. Once again, we're trying to push that hip out behind you. Don't dump your shoulders forward, kind of creating this rounded posture. Our point here is not to have a deep forward fold. We want to just stay kind of lifted here. So once you feel the hamstring stretch, let's play with that rotation again. Kind of windshield wipering your feet in and out. Feeling where you get the deepest stretch here. Go ahead and release out of it. And I'm gonna teach you kind of a new one today. So on your knees, we're gonna try to spread your knees as far apart as possible. We're getting a really good adductor stretch here. So you're gonna feel the stretch on the inner thigh. So hands are supporting you out in front of your chest. Go ahead and lay your inner ankles down so that your heels are directly behind your knees. And then if possible, you can come down onto your elbows. This is a very intense stretch. You can make this really, really intense if you want to by tipping your tailbone up to the ceiling and pressing your hips back to your heels. You'll notice that if your adductors, these inner thigh muscles, are super tight, they're gonna try to tuck your tail under, try to pull your pelvis out of that position. Try to breathe on it, letting your muscles relax and release. You'll probably notice that your thighs are clenching and guarding. See if you can get them to actively release. And the more that we release those hip flexors, your adductors, because they're kind of all intertwined, the more we get those to release, it's gonna take that tension off of your pelvis, which in turn takes that pressure off of your low back. So all of these things are amazing. So go ahead, to get out of this position, we're just gonna rock your body forward over your hands, and you can wiggle your knees back together and carefully rise up. Great job. Hey, I hope that felt so good. If you love this video, I've got another one that I think you're gonna like too. I'm gonna link that above. And hey, go leave a comment below. I would love to hear what you thought about this video.